Things you have never seen before. I bet you've never seen a square cloud before. Is this a glitch in the Matrix?
Yeah.
I bet you've never seen an alligator and a turtle high five. This isn't photoshopped. It's actually a half horse, half zebra animal that actually exists. Is this an invisible car, or did the actual car leave while the ice that was stuck on it stayed? This is insane. This is a real life Minecraft forest.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video drop. You guys are helping grow in the community. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Seek the truth.
Baby fell 11 floors from her grandfather's arms. On July 2019, 18-month-old Chloe and her family were vacationing at the Royal Caribbean Cruises in Puerto Rico when her grandfather sat her at the window ledge and she fell 11 floors to the ground. Chloe's grandfather, Salvatore Anello, says that it was all an accident and he thought the window was closed. He said he leaned Chloe against the window because that's what she likes to do. Chloe's mother, Kim, was devastated, but she does stand by her father and says that the cruise was negligent and should have never had an open window by a kid's play area.
Chloe's family says she fell through that open window, set to slide open to provide ventilation in what's known as the H2O zone aboard the cruise ship. A family attorney says the toddler's grandfather, Sam, placed her on a railing to look outside, believing he was lifting the toddler behind a wall of glass.
After the cruise ship reviewed their surveillance footage, there seems to be more to the story.
But ship video, first shown on TV in Puerto Rico last month, shows Anello leaning out the window for about 8 seconds while Chloe is still on the ground. Then he lifts the girl up and over a wooden rail. He held her for about 34 seconds before she slipped from his arms. Royal Caribbean says the video proves Anello had to know the window was open and recklessly lifted Chloe over the window.
Salvatore pleaded guilty to negligent homicide and was sentenced to 3 years probation.
This is the most dangerous apple in the world. So dangerous that its name in Spanish is Manzanilla de la Muerte, which translates to Little Apple of Death. This is the manchineel tree, and it's widely considered to be the most toxic tree on the planet. And it's all because of a milky white sap coated in toxins that can cause the skin to blister on impact. And this sap is found on every part of the tree. The leaves, the fruit, the bark, every aspect of this tree has the ability to decrease your quality of life. It's so toxic that if you don't even touch it but stand under the tree while it's raining, all it takes are a couple of raindrops with white sap to burn your skin. And speaking of burning, if you torch a tree and try to return ship it to Satan, the smoke can irritate the eyes to the point of temporary blindness. And you can probably imagine what would happen if you inhale it. The fruit might just be the worst part. In 1999, radiologist Nicola Strickland unknowingly ate the apple, and while she didn't retire from breathing, she came really close. The burning sensation and painful tightening of her throat nearly made her suffocate off rip. The pain lasted over 8 hours and she eventually had to get the lymph nodes in her neck drained. And if you happen to find one in your Florida backyard, yeah, you can find them in Florida, y'all are hell with no income tax. You can't cut them down because they're endangered. It'd be like suplexing a panda. And since they help prevent beach erosion and protect mangroves, if you got rid of all of them, Florida just might go underwater. The more you know.
And Florida's a dangerous place, man. I never
Gruesome
knew that.
facts you didn't know, part 126. In China, it is cheaper to kill a pedestrian with your car than it is to injure one. It's actually quite common for the driver to go back and run over the pedestrian again to make sure that they're dead. They call it double hit. Killing a pedestrian in a car accident is usually a $30,000 to $50,000 fine, and then the matter is over. Injuring them means you pay for their lifetime of care, which can run into the millions. This is the Hynellum peckii mushroom, also known as the bleeding tooth fungus, obviously because it looks like it's oozing blood. It also has tooth-like spines underneath of the cap. In 1998, 2-year-old Harrison Johnson stumbled across a yellow jacket nest and was stung 432 times. The couple didn't seek medical attention until he lost consciousness more than 7 hours later. The Johnsons were part of a religion that believes medicine is sorcery. They took the boy to a friend's trailer where they gave him an oatmeal bath and rubbed his skin with lotion. A pediatrician testified that the delay eliminated all chances of his survival.
Knowledge that could save your life if you're bitten by a venomous snake. Contrary to popular belief, don't suck the venom out. Don't cut the wound, don't tie a tourniquet, don't even touch the area around the wound. That will only spread the venom faster. Instead, try to stay calm and move as little as possible. That will slow the spread of the venom. Remove any jewelry or tight clothing from the area, because with swelling, you won't be able to get it off later. Don't try to catch the snake. Just remember what it looks like and get to the hospital as soon as you can. Good luck.
Really? That's like, one of the cool things you be hearing about people, I guess during their snake rescue, how they have to second spitting out the poison. But we be learning, bro, it'd be a lot. You know what that is. Could you imagine if everybody in the world actually
How
disappeared?
strange is your body? Less than 1% of the population can cause goosebumps on command. 10% of people think that cilantro tastes like soap. This is caused by a gene that picks up on aldehyde chemicals, which are found in both cilantro and soap. 30% of people have hitchhiker's thumb, where they can bend their distal joint as far back as 90 degrees. Less than 1% of the population has their hearts on the right side of their body. It's called dextrocardia, and it's usually not harmful. And between 5 and 8% of the population can rapidly shake their eyes. It's called voluntary nystagmus.
Can any of the seekers do that, bro?
This is the creepy story about the daughter. There was a mother who had a 5-year-old daughter named Kate. The little girl had a constant habit of asking her mom if she was pretty. The mother always replied, "Of course you're pretty," even though she was tired of answering the same question. One day the mother took her daughter down for a walk by the river. Kate then stared into the water and asked her mom if she was pretty. The mother was so annoyed with answering the same question, she lost her temper, and in a blind rage, she pushed her own daughter into the river. The little girl was unable to swim, and within moments she sunk to the bottom and died. When the mother realized what she did, she was overcome with regret. However, she did not want to go to jail and told the police that Kate slipped and fell into the water. A few years later, she got pregnant and gave birth to another child. She named her Kate to honor her dead daughter. One day, the mother found the little girl staring at herself in the mirror. "Mommy, do you think I'm pretty?" said Kate. "Of course you're pretty," replied the mother. The little girl then looked up at her mother and said, "If you thought I was so pretty, then why did you push me into the river?"
Sounds like that's her conscience coming back.
Amazing things you have never seen before. What are the odds it only snowed in half of their backyard? I bet you've never seen a square cloud before. Is this a glitch in the Matrix?
Yeah.
I bet you've never seen an alligator and a turtle high five. This isn't photoshopped. It's actually a half horse, half zebra animal that actually exists. Is this an invisible car, or did the actual car leave while the ice that was stuck on it stayed? This is insane. This is a real life Minecraft forest. And the chances of this happening are 1 in a million. These firefighters were putting out a fire when a tornado stormed through. Wow.
Which one got to you the most, man? I think it's the freaking a square cloud. I've never seen that before. And like you said, I think that definitely was a glitch in the Matrix right there, man. A square cloud? I can't say I've ever seen one, bro. What's going on, man?
This is why you should always change your locks. In 2017, a college girl woke up from a nightmare drenched in sweat and decided to rinse off before going back to sleep. She propped her phone on a shelf, turned on some music, and then hopped in the shower. A few minutes later, she reaches for her phone to change the song, but stops suddenly. Reflected on her phone's screen was a person standing in the middle of her bathroom facing the shower. She somehow kept her composure, turned the water to scalding hot, and then ripped open the curtain and sprayed the intruder in the face. As they howled in pain, she ran past them to her kitchen to get her butcher's knife. In a panic, she can't find her knife, so she just runs out of the apartment and calls the police. The police go in and come out with a crazy-looking woman in handcuffs. One of the officers comes over to the girl and says she used to live here and she had copies of your keys. Then he pauses and looks down and brings up a clear evidence bag that contained her butcher's knife, and he says, "Looks like she wanted her apartment back."
What? Why the hell did she steal the key? Guess we know that video is cat because the world's still going on right now.
Here's how the world is currently reacting to Trump's tariffs. For starters, over 50 countries have contacted the White House this weekend to start trade negotiation talks with Trump. And while most have chosen to negotiate rather than retaliate, there are a few countries like China, Canada, and Belgium that have announced counter tariffs to Trump's counter tariffs. Netanyahu is even heading to the US tomorrow to hold talks with Trump. Huge protests erupted not just in America, but worldwide. In fact, in the US this weekend alone, we saw the largest single day of demonstrations against Trump since he returned to the White House, with an estimated 1,200 protests in all 50 states. More anti-Trump protests were held in other parts of the world too, including Paris, Berlin, and London. Speaking of London though, the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, reacted by making a bombshell statement. He said, "The world as we knew it has gone. Trump has done something that we don't agree with, but there is a reason why people are behind him on this. The world has changed, globalization is over, and we are now in a new era." Tomorrow, he is expected to announce major plans to support UK industries in the wake of Trump's tariffs. People like Jim Cramer are warning of a potential stock market crash when it opens tomorrow on Monday, similar to that of the 1987 Black Monday event, where the market plummeted by around 23% in one day. Land Rover has paused shipments to the United States, Nintendo pulled switch to pre-orders from Americans, and Hyundai reported its second highest sale month in their history as people hurried to buy foreign cars to beat the tariffs. And this is all while Ford, an American company, announced the opposite, saying not only will they not increase the prices, but they are actually discounting them, giving all Americans employee prices. They called the campaign From America for America. But of course, as always, as more develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
Life riddles you must solve to stay alive, part 2. So you're in a forest and you're bitten by a venomous snake. You have 3 options. Either try to suck the venom out of your leg, apply a tourniquet to the leg, or wash it out with clean water and then apply a bandage. You only have 5 seconds to think about it.
Bandage.
The correct answer is a tourniquet. It will block the venom from getting to the rest of your body. Like for more life-saving riddles.
I would have been gone, but I picked the wrong thing, Zeke.
75 passengers lost their lives after this pilot let his children in the cockpit. On March 23rd, 1994, an Aeroflot aircraft was flying from Russia to Hong Kong when the airplane tragically crashed. Only a few hours into the flight, one of the pilots allowed his 2 children who were also on the flight to enter the cockpit so that they can see how everything operated. The pilot's 16-year-old son Elder and his 12-year-old daughter Yana had the opportunity to sit in the pilot's seat and play around with the aircraft's controls. Of course, autopilot was on, so this was not supposed to be dangerous. Well, at least that's what he thought. The pilot told his son Elder that he can turn the plane to one side so he can experience what it was to fly a plane. Unfortunately, this disabled autopilot. The pilots were unaware that the plane began turning, but once they noticed, the plane had steepened to almost 90 degrees. The plane started to quickly descend while the pilots tried to figure out what was wrong. And there's actually an audio recording of how everything played out, and you can hear the fear in these pilots' voices. The plane ended up crashing on a mountain in Russia, killing all 75 passengers on board. After investigating, they said that the cause of the crash were the children who were playing with the controls in the aircraft. And it was said that if the pilots had left the controls alone rather than trying to fix them manually, the plane would have corrected itself.
It just doesn't make sense. This case is weird. Phoebe Hansjuk was found dead in her Melbourne, Australia apartment building in December of 2010 at the bottom of a trash chute. Police said she was intoxicated and decided to climb into the chute on the 12th floor to fall 130 feet down to kill herself. But they didn't test the blood that was found in her apartment that she shared with her boyfriend, didn't look into the unexplained bruising on her body, didn't even question how she could have gone into the chute, which was 3 feet off the ground, with her jeans around her knees. And when the scenario was exactly replicated with someone sober, it was almost impossible. So how did Phoebe get into a 14-inch opening feet first without leaving any fingerprints on the outside of the chute, all while intoxicated?
Something went down, yeah. All that, no evidence, that does not make sense at all. Gotta be more diligent.
What happens after death in different religions? To begin this series, let's look at Buddhism. In Buddhism, when an individual loses their life, they shall be sent to one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. The realm of gods, the realm of humans, the realm of the demigods, the realm of the animals, the realm of the hungry ghosts, and the realm of hell. And yes, if you're a Naruto fan, you probably just realized what these guys were actually representing. Your time in these realms is always temporary, and it is dependent on the karma you accumulated in your past lives. This endless cycle of reincarnation is seen as nothing more than suffering in Buddhism, as the ultimate goal is to break this suffering and reach enlightenment.
Fun fact, I'm a huge Naruto fan, so I didn't even know that's what the, I guess, six panes represent. It's actually mind-blowing, man. I never put that connection together. Well, you know.
Rex Sherman, the accused Gilgo Beach murder suspect, appeared in court today. He was brought over via the underground tunnel that connects the courthouse to the jail across the street. And he did not speak during the proceeding, but allegedly at one point he looked out into the audience with an icy stare as if he was looking for someone. During the hearing, prosecutors said that they've given Herman's lawyer at least 8 terabytes of material, which is equivalent to about 2,500 pages of records, along with about 100 hours of surveillance video. This video was recorded outside of Herman's home and office prior to his arrest. The records include autopsy findings, DNA reports, and crime scene photos. And the DA has said that it's just a fraction of the evidence amassed since the discovery of the victims in 2010 and 2011, and he said more evidence will be turned over on a rolling basis. Prosecutors and Herman's lawyer also reached a confidentiality agreement that prohibits sharing copies of sensitive evidence with the public. After the hearing, Herman's attorney, Michael Brown, said that he had only just received the first wave of evidence that included 5 manila envelopes, each containing a 2 terabyte hard drive. He said, quote, "Today was the first time I was handed any evidence in this case, and it was in the form of terabytes. I can't read terabytes with my hands or eyes." Brown also pointed out, quote, "The press has convicted my client without seeing a shred of evidence," and noted that it's a possibility that Herman is not the guy. But it sounds like prosecutors have a ton of evidence. Herman is set to appear in court next on September 27th.
People are freaking out realizing what happened on this film. Whatever you do, do not watch it. There's a lot of disturbing films out there you've probably all heard about. The reason this is so disturbing is because it's real and because of what happened. This movie released in 1980 and was instantly banned in many countries. Essentially found footage. They find this tape which contains all of these videos on it which are messed up. I'm not going to say the name, it will get taken down, but that's it. Shortly after the movie came out, the director was arrested and actually charged. Let me explain. Basically, the movie was so realistic, the scenes in it actually looked like it was real life. Now, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened, but you can probably guess it's pretty brutal. There's lots of things that involve animals, humans, and stuff I can't even talk about. When it came out, many critics and people viewing it thought it was genuinely real. Rogetto Deodato, the director, was arrested and eventually actually charged with murder, saying that he had actually unalived the crew who were the actors in the film. They were able to prove that all of the people who were in the film, the actors, etc., were perfectly fine and he was let off. It was a film, no one was actually unalived. But unfortunately, the things that happened to animals in the film was real, like they were actually extremely harmed during the making of the film. Some problems there, and this has of course caused a lot of controversy over the years. A lot of people still say that this movie is cursed, and if you watch it, you're watching real stuff happen. It's definitely an extremely disturbing watch, so I don't recommend it.
3 ways to survive the purge. Number 1, get out of town. Being so that the purge is a massive killing spree. So getting out of any major city and going somewhere more rural where there's nobody will probably be a great idea. Being so that I don't think you want to become someone's release from all of their stress for the massive killing spree for 12 hours. Number 2, shelter. You're going to want to build yourself some type of underground bunker or some type of escape room in your house. Something where no one will be able to find you or your family for those 12 hours. Number 3, weapons. You're going to need something to protect yourself and your family. I wouldn't suggest doing anything close range either. I would suggest having something that you can shoot from far and close range and something that's pretty compact. Like and follow for more videos.
Seekers, could you guess about the purge, man, if that was actually a real event? That sounds insane even thinking about it, man. At the times we're living in now, it kind of feels like the purge, though. It's behind you. You can't even see that?
This is the creepy story about the smell. A family went on a vacation and checked into a cheap hotel. When the family got to the room, they detected a very bad odor. The husband then called down to the front desk and said he wanted to speak to the manager. He explained that the room smelled very bad and that he wanted another one. But the manager said that every room was booked and he couldn't get another one. But he said he would send a maid to come clean the room. After lunch, the family came back to their room and they could still smell the same odor. Again, the father called the front desk, but the manager told the man there was nothing he could do. That night, the kids held their noses trying not to smell the odor. Eventually they fell asleep though. In the morning, their parents woke them up. Everybody smelled the odor even stronger now. The father decided to get to the bottom of it and they tore apart the whole room. But when they pulled the top mattress off the bed, they saw there was a big hole in the base of the bed. Everybody looked in it and came face to face with a horrible sight. There was a rotten dead woman's body. They then realized they slept all night just a few inches away from a rotten corpse.
Man, what the hell? I can't do that.
The Bob Ross theory. Everyone knows who Bob Ross is. An extremely talented and upbeat painter, known for always being calm, cool, and collected, and of course always having a smile on his face. There's speculation that he was actually a serial killer because of this painting right here. This painting is called Happy Little Accidents. Looks like just a normal forest landscape, but this is where they found 5 female bodies, half eaten and completely unalived. This photo of this crime scene and the painting are extremely similar. My question to you guys is, could it just be a coincidence, or could Bob Ross actually have been depicting his murders the whole time in pictures?
What do you guys think?
Ancient creatures your ancestors had to fight, Part 8. And this is a creature that existed from South Asia all the way to East Asia. We're speaking of the Asian straight-tusked elephant, what's argued to be the largest land mammal to ever exist. The African bush elephant is the current largest land animal in the world, and we can see here its size compared to an average human. Well, this here is the Asian straight-tusked elephant compared to the African bush elephant. It absolutely towers over it.
They do.
Now, these things are believed to have gone extinct in the late Pleistocene, which means humans were potentially around them for thousands of years. And maybe a few of our ancestors got squashed.
I think some of them were, bro. I saw the height
You
difference.
spot what is wrong with this picture. This one was so immediately creepy, instantly teared up, didn't even get the ring light out for it, not even using my microphone. But the context of this photo, a daughter sent it to her mother. It's from the daughter's POV taken on her phone while in the hot tub in the backyard. Look a little closer at that background. Is that not somebody's dirty, rotten hand creeping over the fence, probably watching through one of the cracks in the wood, her daughter in the hot tub?
Most disturbing Reddit confessions. During my early childhood, I suffered with thoughts of cannibalism. Fast forward to my teen years, my mom's friend passed away and we were attending the viewing for the funeral. I was left alone in the room for a while and my family spoke to the other families. I saw her lifeless body and had to take a bite. I'm 35 years old now and every day I struggle with the obsession of consuming another person. That confession was made by a Reddit user who deleted his account about 8 years ago, so this probably could be one of your neighbors. This is the scariest one of all. I was 6 years old and my mother was a frequent garage sale buyer. She purchased this big toy box that had some old 1950s dolls inside. I played with these dolls for years and one day I remember my mother selling my toys to a neighbor. I remember being extremely upset. Fast forward 20 years, we found an old picture of me playing with the old toy box toys and my mother started crying. My mother explained to me that I would tell her that I see people walking on my walls and if anyone touched those toys I would kill them. And the neighbor who purchased those toys that day was killed in a gruesome car accident just hours after purchasing them. To this day, I wonder whose toys they were before I owned them. Make sure to like and follow for more videos.
Some creepy confessions, man. Especially that first one. That one was freaking mind-blowing, bro. He deleted his account too? Like you said, it could be one of your neighbors. Could be
Horror
my
movies where no one survives. Part 2. The Devil's Rejects. Now, The Devil's Rejects is a direct sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses, meaning yes, we're still following the Firefly family, comprising of Mother Firefly, Otis, Baby, and of course Captain Spaulding. The movie starts out with a brutal police raid having to do with the Firefly family, where the Mother Firefly is yes arrested, but the others escape. They then escape the police's custody and more or less go on a murderous road trip, where they leave absolute mayhem behind. They then post up in a motel, where they torture and unalive a traveling band. them. The movie then abruptly ends with the Firefly family driving into a barrage of gunfire and then seemingly ends, with no real certainty of who survived and who didn't. You then have Dawn of the Dead 2004, absolutely one of my favorite remakes ever. The movie more or less follows a group of people hiding out in a mall, trying not to unalive each other and survive the zombies that are trying to unalive them outside. You then get attached to most of these characters and most of them are picked off, up until the end, which kind of leaves it open-ended, where some of the characters escape on a boat, but then we see footage of them going to an island, which happens to be overrun by hordes of zombies. And to be fair, no one truly knows what the ending would look like, because we just don't know. We don't know if someone survived, or if they didn't.
Really? Okay. You guys know, man, I'm not into scary movies like that. It was a chilly ending, though.
The most popular book in the world has sold over 5 billion copies worldwide, yet very few people actually know how it really explains our origin story. And yes, it really does go there, and a little bit there too. So, it all starts with God. He is everything and everywhere and everywhen. But there isn't anything yet, so he made heaven and earth which were formless and very dark. So God said, let there be light, and boom, now we can see, which is good. He separated the dark from the light, calling them night and day, and we just had our first day. Day 2, God puts water everywhere and separates the water above from the water below with a firmament, which he calls the sky. Day 3, the water below settles and reveals land beneath it. God calls this land earth and the newly settled water sea, and also puts plants, trees, and fruits everywhere. Now it was good, for now. Day 4, God adds lights to the firmament. A greater light that was in charge of the day and a lesser light for the night, the sun and the moon. Oh, and also stars at night. This is a biblically accurate depiction of the earth as found in the Bible, so there it is. Day 5, now he puts sea creatures and birds everywhere and tells them to multiply so the seas and the skies are always filled with life. This was also good. Day 6, we get land animals, wild animals, tame ones, reptiles, bugs, you name it. Then God was like, you know what, let's make a very special one called human beings, who will rule over all the creatures in the sea, air, and land and can eat all the plants. Oh, and they also might be immortal and will never die. So he took dust from the earth, blew into its nostrils, and gave life to the first man ever. Once again, this was good. Very good. Day 7, God takes a rest from all his work and makes this a very special day of rest for everyone. But when he made the man, he actually put him in a garden that he planted in the east, somewhere close to the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, but no one really knows exactly where. He called it the Garden of Eden and told the man to take care of it. He can do whatever he wants, just never ever ever eat from this tree right here. That's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and if you eat from it, you die. That was his only rule. But the man seemed lonely, so God wanted to give him a helper. While the man was sleeping, God sneaks out one of his ribcage bones, and with that bone, he makes a woman. And they were both naked and totally chill about it. Now in the garden, there was a snake who could talk, and was also a sword of the devil. It was a cunning snake that tricks the woman into eating a fruit from the forbidden tree by telling her it'll give her special god powers. She also picks another fruit from it, gives it to the man, and he eats it too. All of a sudden, they both got super self-conscious about being naked, so they made clothes out of fig leaves and hid from God when he came around. God was all like, hey, why y'all hiding? And the man says, I don't know, I just feel kind of weird being naked around you now. Now God's all like, whoa, how do you know what naked means? Did you eat from that tree I told you not to eat from? The man admits, yeah, I did, but she made me do it. And the woman's like, okay, my bad, that snake tricked me. So we have the first sin of mankind, which is bad, and thus started God's quest to save humanity from sin. He punishes the woman by making giving birth super painful for the rest of eternity, and also tells them they're not immortal anymore and will now die from old age. Turns out the man's name is Adam, and he names his wife Eve. God makes them both clothes and kicks them out of the Garden of Eden for disobeying him. And the first thing Adam and Eve do after getting banished is make babies. She gives birth and calls the first one Cain and the second one Abel, two brothers. God liked Abel more because he was more loyal to him, but he told Cain not to get jealous or anything like that. So naturally, Cain tells Abel to follow him into a field and ends his life out of jealousy. Another sin. God curses Cain to wander the earth, and then Adam has another son with Eve named Seth. Eventually, Seth has a son, which starts a long lineage of births from those kids and those kids' kids and so on. After about 7 generations, a son named Noah is born, who turns out to be a pretty good guy. Now at this point, humans started multiplying like crazy all over Earth. Men were running around taking wives and having children with all of them. Among them were a people called the Nephilim, who were born of the sons of God and the daughters of men, which is often interpreted to mean fallen angels that intermingle with humans, but this topic is highly debated. Oh, and these Nephilim were suspected to be giants as well. God sees this and realizes that humans were starting to get a little out of control. So he was like, you know what, I'm gonna clean wipe all living things on Earth and just restart everything from scratch. Except for this guy Noah. He's a pretty good guy. As the Earth fills with more corruption, God tells Noah to build a giant ark because he's gonna flood the Earth and destroy everyone on it. God promises that Noah, his wife, his sons, and his sons' wives will all be spared in the ark, and tells them to also gather 2 of every animal on Earth to bring onto the ark as well. Land animals, birds, reptiles, everything. And so Noah builds it, it starts raining, he, his family, and all the animals get on the ark. It rained for 40 days days and 40 nights as the ark sailed above the flood and everyone on Earth died. After 150 days, the water subsided and the ark rested on top of a mountain. After 40 more days, Noah opens the window and sends out a dove to do some recon, which came back with an olive leaf, meaning the waters have subsided enough for trees to grow and the earth was now dry. Noah leaves the ark with his family, all the animals, and builds an altar, which God likes. He likes it so much that he promises he will never flood the earth again, which he calls a covenant, and that rainbows will forever be reminders of this covenant. He tells Noah and his family to multiply and repopulate the earth. So Noah and his sons get to business, having kids, and their kids have kids, and so on, and many tribes and cities came up from these generations. Everyone spoke the same language and communicated with each other very well. In one of the cities, a few people got together and were like, hey, you know what? Let's build a super tall, magnificent tower. This tower will be so amazing because its top will reach into heaven and we will be so great because of it. They call it the Tower of Babel. God saw this and thought these people were being a little bit too prideful and arrogant. So he confuses everyone by making them all speak different languages so they don't understand each other anymore, and scattered them across the earth so they can no longer work on building this tower. Everyone continued having kids and their family lineages kept growing. About 10 generations later, a son named Abram is born. And this man right here, well, he was the beginning of everything else.
The man behind me built a homemade cage for his head to stop smoking. He then gave his wife the keys and only she could open it during meals. The man's name is Ibrahim Yücel. He is a Turkish man. He was smoking 2 packs daily for 26 years and decided he wanted to stop one day. So he built a homemade cage out of copper. In my opinion, this thing looks like a torture device. And he didn't just wear this at home. He wore this outside, going to work, running his errands. He was dedicated to stop smoking. He started doing this in 2013, and I believe he is still doing this to this day. The only thing he could get through the cage was a straw from a bottle of water and maybe some crackers. He designed it in a way that you couldn't even sneak a cigarette inside there. He definitely knew he would be having withdrawals and planned this accordingly. Down here is a picture of his wife unlocking the cage for him, and over here is more of a close-up photo of the cage. And then here's a picture of him with the cage off right here. He's talking on the phone. I'm assuming he's having a meal and he's just chatting away. But honestly, props to him. If it works, it works. I'm not sure if I have any followers from Turkey, but if I do, let me know if you've seen this guy around. And let me know what you think about this story.
Weird facts.
Have you seen that before?
If you're coughing uncontrollably, just raise your hands above your shoulder and it will stop. Did you know that TikTok doesn't let you type Area 51? When crossing the street at night, turn on your phone's flashlight and point it toward oncoming traffic. If you think you're being followed, turn right 4 times, since you'll get to the same place they shouldn't be following you anymore. If they do, you might be in trouble. Don't walk down the stairs with hands in your pockets. If you type your big forehead, you get a warning. Blue color attracts mosquitoes and 2 times more than any other. Strawberries can also be white and yellow. Some even can taste like pineapples. You can't unalive yourself by holding your breath. If you search these coordinates on Google Maps, you will find a man dragging a body. Follow for more.
Really?
Nobody in the entire world can visit this island. Okay, so majority of Americans don't know about the Forbidden Island in Hawaii that is owned by one single family and nobody could visit. The island is called Niihau, and it's extremely different from anything else in the United States. There is only a population of 70 people, and they have no access to paved roads, telephone service, no running water, and the majority of the island lives off welfare checks from the US government. And with such harsh living conditions, it makes you wonder why anybody would even live on this island. And the real question is, if there's nothing to hide here, why can't anybody visit? Well, this rule that doesn't allow any outsiders onto the island was actually written into the agreement by the natives when they sold it to the Robinson family, all the way back in 1864.
Way back.
The Robinson family bought the island for $10,000 in gold, which is $325,000 today. And the crazy thing is that this family still owns the island. The Robinsons are also very focused on preserving the Hawaiian culture on this island that the natives did, so they go to church every Sunday, banned long hair for men, and kept the official Hawaiian language. But my whole opinion on this island is that if nobody can visit there and there's only 70 people on it, there's gotta be some crazy stuff going on there, right? There's just no way these 70 people are just completely normal living on this isolated island that nobody could visit. Let me know your thoughts on this, and also let me know if you've ever heard of this.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There's a 1 in 3 chance police will never identify your killer if you were murdered in the United States. If the sun exploded now, you wouldn't know about it for another 8 minutes. 20% of children report hearing voices. There are 40 supervolcanoes around the world, capable of claiming 1 billion lives. And we are about 24,000 years overdue for an eruption. The air you breathe in train stations is 15% human skin. There are over 200 dead bodies on top of Mount Everest, because retrieving them is such a risk. They serve as markers for other hikers. When you die, your house cat is going to want to eat you. Speaking of pets, dogs like squeaky toys because they mimic the screams of their prey. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 2.
I know why my dog loves the squeaky toy so much. I never knew that. Be careful when you buy your squeaky toys for your dogs now.
Insane truths to Buddhism now.
Morbid facts about Mike Tyson, Part 2. While visiting a zoo in the late 1980s, Tyson noticed an alpha silverback gorilla bullying all the others. He offered the zookeeper 10 grand to open the gorilla cage so that he could go in there and smash that silverback's snot box. Luckily for the gorilla, the worker declined the offer. Here's a 1997 photo of Las Vegas police facing Mike Tyson after he'd just bitten off the ear of Evander Holyfield. Tyson claimed he was in a primal blacked out state and literally wanted to kill his opponent. Mike had 6 biological children, but his little girl Exodus tragically died when she was only 4 years old. In 2009, Exodus was playing on a treadmill when she accidentally died from strangulation after falling and catching her neck on a power cord. 3 years after signing with Don King, Tyson didn't even know that he had a fan club. When he finally went there, he found a letter from a woman asking if Tyson could call her dying little boy. Tyson immediately called, hung up, cursed out Don King, then started to cry. He said that the call was 1 year too late.
If you were someone that...
Man, I was speaking facts about Mike Tyson. He went through a lot in his life, man. Because you guys know what happened between that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, how some people said they kind of didn't live up to the hype, but I guess he did what he needed to do, man. I guess to get that money.
You know has small children, please watch this video until the end because it could save their life. Basically, Bobby baby pillows are being recalled after suffocating 8 children to their end. What happened was that these 8 children were laid down to sleep on these pillows and woke up lifeless. The recall includes the original, preferred, and Pottery Barn Kids Bobby baby pillows, and if you own any of these, you can take them to a local store for a refund. These are being recalled all the way back from 2004 to September of this year, so if you own any of these from any of those years, you might be at risk. So please, never put any babies or young children to sleep in any of these, and if you know anyone with young children, please send them this video so they don't miss this life-saving information.
That's insane.
Give you hope. This woman swept out to sea while at the beach was rescued after 37 hours of drifting over 50 miles in an inflatable swim ring. Overdoses have decreased for the first time in over 5 years. This stranger saved a 4-year-old from a flying puck at a hockey game. Every country has now banned the use of leaded gasoline in cars, with Algeria being the last one a couple years ago. Bruno was able to get a fresh start and a new life after 473 days in a shelter. A study of over 2 million people found that eating cheese is healthy for aging because of the lower stress that you experience in life. The amount of sugar consumed by kids in the United Kingdom halved in 1 year after a sugar tax was introduced. Scientists have developed a glowing dye that sticks to cancer cells, which helps scientists prevent cancer from coming back. This nearly extinct pupfish has hit a 25-year high with their population. There are less than 200 of them in one single cave in the Mojave Desert of Nevada.
Here are 3 real ways to survive Ohio. The land of Ohio is a mysterious pocket dimension located within the continental United States that is widely regarded as being one of the most dangerous places known to man. With that being said, the easiest way to guarantee your survival of this state is to simply avoid visiting it altogether. This should be a relatively easy task since no one actually lives in Ohio. Remember, if you think you have family or friends to visit there, that's just the demons whispering in your ear, and those thoughts should be ignored entirely. Secondly, if you do somehow wind up in this desolate place, remember to ignore the locals at all costs. Their lonely state might inspire you to take pity on them and engage them in conversation, but be warned, if you speak to them, you will become as they are. Finally, above all else, you'll need to try and keep moving at all times in one direction. Time and space work differently in the state of Ohio, and it may feel like you've been walking in circles for hours or even days. But remember, every step that you take is a step closer to freedom. Leave a comment if you're enjoying this series, and if you know anyone from Ohio, tag them. It might help them escape.
Any of you guys know anybody from Ohio? I only know LeBron James, man. That's I do comes from Ohio, but I guess this TikTok, bro, wants us to avoid it, man. And because they be Ohio, Skippity Riz, Gyat, whatever, man. I think it originated there, bro. Oh, man, those TikToks, bro. Probably crazy, man, in Ohio, bro. Imagine walking down the street, somebody yelling, "Gyat skibbity," bro. Oh, man. Interesting. Where is it at? They brought like a whole setup.
Did you know that Art the Clown played the Grinch in a horror movie? Yes, there is a horror slasher version of the Grinch, and it's called The Mean One. The story follows Cindy Lou Who after the Grinch kills her parents, and she grows up and she decides that she's going to make it her life's mission to kidnap the Grinch and to kill him for what he did to her. And Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, plays the horror version of the Grinch, the mean one, and he brings so much personality to the character even through all of the paint and prosthetics. Like, look at these cool shot comparisons. This is the original Grinch, and here we have the horror version of the Grinch. The Mean One is definitely considered a horror comedy, so keep that in mind if you choose to watch it. It's also extremely bloody and extremely silly, which I feel like you would expect. My favorite part of the movie is when Cindy Lou Who, as a child, is being interviewed by cops to try to get an idea of what this guy looks like. The sketch artist draws the little girl's description and then in all seriousness is like, "Sweetie, is this what he looked like?" It's really funny that David Howard Thornton has gotten to play a horror version of Santa as Art the Clown, and he's also gotten to be a horror version of the Grinch. Pretty cool.
Why you should always respect Mother Nature.
You should, of course, never do what this guy did in that video, and viewer discretion advised for this one because there's no happy ending here. The man in the video that I showed you is 28-year-old Jacob Cockle. Jacob's passion was surfing and pretty much anything ocean related, so he felt like the water was his element. This is likely why Jacob thought he would be able to best a whirlpool when it came to swimming by it. Initially, when Jacob jumped into the whirlpool, nothing went wrong. There were about 28 minutes of footage of him floating around on top, and this is because he had the safety of a wetsuit. Wetsuits trap a lot of air, they're very buoyant, and they're made out of neoprene. This particular whirlpool was not strong enough to take Jacob down when he's floating on the surface. However, Jacob made a grave mistake. At one point or another, Jacob decided that it would be a good idea to dive underwater to get more footage. This caused the buoyancy of his suit to drop, and the whirlpool became strong enough and sucked him down. Jacob was unfortunately not able to escape from the whirlpool's grasp.
Photos with disturbing backstories.
Stay out the water, man. Photos tell a story every single time, man. That's why I always pay attention to them, bro. That's the edit. She threw that. We expert level now, bro.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
Cover your camera on your phone, bro. You go to sleep.
Myths you still believe about Canada. Canadians see snow year-round. Well, the truth is that though the winters can be harsh, most of the country's population experiences summers that can make a Californian sweat. Most Canadians live near the Canada-US border and thus experience similar weather to what you'd expect in places like Boston or New York. Toronto is the capital of Canada. Well, Toronto does have the largest population and is probably the most famous Canadian city, but it's actually Ottawa, another Ontario city, that's the capital. As the center of political power, Queen Victoria chose Ottawa to be Canada's capital on December 31st, 1857. It was determined that with its location being on the border between Canada East and Canada West, its excellent defensive position and its access to 2 different rivers to cross the country in either direction, Ottawa was the perfect city for the title.
Skinwalker
okay.
On camera.
The hell is that?
Please pardon the interruption. At this time, we are going to ask that students and staff proceed to conduct an internal lockdown. I repeat, this is not a drill. Please proceed to internal lockdown. 911 has been called. Remain in internal lockdown until instructed otherwise by a uniformed officer.
Okay, guys, I need everybody right away. Back corner and down, please.
In Ohio too. What the hell?
No cell phones?
Get as close to the wall as you can. Crowd it together. Marcus, get this way. Get this way. Get away from the window. Davis, hurry up. Get away from the window. Press up to these desks. Hurry up. Guys, grab these desks.
Where's Skinwalker at?
Feminine things that were originally made for men. In Persia, men wore high heels to protect their feet. Then the Europeans looked and said, let's use them too, but they did it to show that they were rich, powerful, and masculine. In their culture, the higher the heel, the more masculine you were. Bags were also made exclusively for men. This is the oldest bag ever found made for men. It is entirely decorated with dog teeth because that was the fashion of the time. A system very similar to the disposable pads we have today was originally used in World War I to stop soldiers from bleeding. That's when a nurse noticed and thought, we can put this in our underwear and we no longer need to use rags as pads. Skirts were originally worn by men throughout the history of the world.
A killer clown.
I never knew that. Our reality's blown wide open. If you'd have said high heels were made for men first, I wouldn't have believed you. We learning today.
Clown was just released from prison in Florida. This case dates back to May 26, 1990, when 40-year-old Marlene Warren opened her front door. In front of her was a clown holding balloons and a basket of flowers. Marlene stated, "How nice," before the clown fatally shot her in the mouth, then calmly walked away. Authorities suspected 26-year-old Sheila Keene for years, who was having an affair with the victim's husband, Michael. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough evidence to convict her. 12 years later, Michael and Sheila wed in Las Vegas, moved to Tennessee, and started running this burger joint called the Purple Cow. They lived happily as if nothing happened, and Sheila even had the audacity to dress up as a clown one year. But in 2014, Florida authorities received a grant that allowed them to reopen the case. Advances in DNA technology allowed them to test a brown hair at the crime scene. It belonged to Sheila Keene, who was finally arrested in 2017 and pleaded not guilty. But after 7 years in jail, prosecutors gave her a deal in April of 2023. In exchange for pleading guilty to second-degree murder, she received a 12-year sentence. A Florida law allowed credit for good behavior, and that is why she was released on November 2nd of this year.
Here's a test to see if you or someone you know has thalassophobia. Thalassophobia is the fear of deep or open water. Starting off at level 1, we have this image, and if you look at the baby's feet, you can see there's nothing. And that's what freaks people out, the fact that you can't see anything but feel like there's something watching you from below. If this freaked you out, don't watch the rest, because level 2 is even worse. Level 2, we have a person falling into a huge open body of water. And to make it worse, there's some sort of squid-like creature right in the corner. At level 3, we have the worst one yet. A person floating above a huge snake-like creature that we have no idea how big it is. And if you made it this far, congrats. Make sure you send this to a friend to see if they can pass the test and hit the follow button for more.
Maps will change the way you see the world. This map shows if your county has a McDonald's or not. If you're in a red county on this map, then you do not have a McDonald's, and there are 793 counties without them. This map shows the average weekly grocery bill across each state in the United States. Wisconsin has the lowest because Midwest states have the most farming around them. Hawaii and Alaska are the highest because of their isolation from the mainland food production. This map shows how fertility rates have decreased across the entire United States over the last 20 years. Louisiana had a tiny 0.3% decrease, while Utah had an over 30% decrease in fertility. This map shows the most common transportation methods in the United States to get to work. Most people in the United States are in a green county where it is driving alone. Orange counties are where people walk the most, yellow counties are where people take taxis or motorcycles more, and the red counties are public transportation counties, which is just San Francisco and New York City.
How y'all get to work, bro? Walk, driving, public transportation. I walk, bro. I'm a walker.
Everybody's talking about this new horror movie. It's awesome. Let's watch. I haven't watched it tonight. This movie is so scary. I promise.
This is a serial killer you haven't heard of that has more victims than Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer combined. The Sunday morning slasher. Carl Eugene Watts targeted mostly young, attractive women walking alone in the dark. He would stab, slash, strangle, and drown them. Watts told a psychiatrist that they had evil eyes. And it wasn't enough to murder these women, he had to kill their spirits too, by burning personal items or tossing them in a sewer. His first victim was 19-year-old Gloria Steele, a mother and college student who was stabbed 33 times in her apartment. Michigan authorities knew he was responsible for dozens of murders, but they never had enough evidence to convict him. In 1982, Watts fled to Texas and resumed his murders, killing at least 12 more, including the youngest victim, 14-year-old Emily Lacroix. Now let's get to the moment he was finally caught. On May 23, 1982, Carl Watts choked Lori Lister until she was unconscious, then dragged her up the apartment steps. He used her keys to open the door and came face to face with Lori's roommate, Melinda Aguilar. Melinda was choked by Carl Watts as well, but this time she pretended to black out. He bound her hands behind her back and put her in a separate bedroom, while he filled up a bathtub where he planned to drown Lori Lister. With her hands still bound behind her back, Melinda quietly locked the bedroom door and proceeded to jump off a second-story balcony, where she yelled at a woman who was drinking coffee outside to call police. Unfortunately, Texas prosecutors offered immunity to Watts for the 13 murders he confessed to, in exchange for a 60-year sentence. Oddly enough, he was almost released from prison in 2006, but Michigan authorities were able to convict him of 2 murders before that could happen, and he died in prison in 2007 from prostate cancer.
Creepy facts that'll give you nightmares. When
justice.
anglerfish mate, the male literally fuses itself into the female and the two live together as one fish for the rest of their lives. I'm kinda concerned as to how we know this, but if you feed a human body to pigs, they eat every last bit of it. There's a place near Mexico City called the Island of the Dolls. This place is home to thousands of dolls that are there to honor a girl who drowned in the 1950s. Many people say that this place is one of the most haunted places on Earth. And finally, this is Mike the Chicken. After Mike's head got chopped off, he somehow managed to live a full 1.5 years headless.
Facts about money that will blow your mind. half of all elder millennials wish they had chosen a different career path. The majority said they felt pressure to pursue 4-year degrees with mountains of debt and now earn too little in their jobs to keep up. Here's the scariest part about all this. Gen Z has the lowest average student loan debt of $14,000. Millennials are the next highest with $33,000 on average. Gen Xers have even more student loan debt on average with $43,000. And finally, baby boomers actually carry the highest average student loan debt. Your student loan debt actually goes up as you get older. Top that off with the unemployment rate going back up, and more than 1 million people became unemployed last month. Here is a solution that could double your income. The average tech salary is $100,000 to $300,000. You can learn any tech profession in 6 to 9 months with Triple 10. Triple 10 offers beginner-friendly boot camps with tons of different careers, and 87% of students get great jobs at companies like Amazon and Tesla. Triple 10 will even give your money back if you don't get a job within 6 months of graduating. Link in my bio to take their free consultation to find out what career would be best for you.
There is an Who going to Triple 10, man? Get that tech money, bro. It's actually interesting, man, to see the generations of seeing how much money people owe in college, man. If you don't know what you're going to college for, I just say figure it out before you go so you don't get all that debt piled up.
Eerie ghost town in America that is too dangerous for humans because it's been on fire for over 60 years. The roads leading to it were even covered in dirt to keep people out. But despite this, the town of Centralia still has a population of 4. You see, back in its day, it was a booming coal mining town with thousands living there. But when a fire accidentally spread to the mines underground, it became too large to extinguish. Houses started collapsing, roads began to crack and buckle, dangerous gases started rising into the air, and a 12-year-old child even got sucked into a 150-foot sinkhole. It became so dangerous that the state of Pennsylvania stepped in and offered to buy people's properties off of them so they could leave the town. And because coal seam fires have a massive amount of fuel, it's believed that the fire will continue to burn for another 200 years. But despite the town's zip code being erased off the map, roads to it being blocked off with mounds of dirt, and even a court order saying that any residents that remain would not be allowed to sell or pass down their homes to anyone. According to a 2020 census, 4 people still remain. 5 things you can do with your body.
Who in the hell is living in a town that's always on fire? Why didn't they just abandon it with everybody else? I guess that their family home is really important to them, man. You know, some people, like, they just refuse to move. I think I seen a clip on Twitter or something like that where, like, this freaking house, they had built, like, a whole, like, I guess new, like, roads and stuff like that, but they had to freaking build around the house because the owner refused to sell them, man.
That you only just realized. You can only swallow 2 to 3 times before your body forces you to wait to try again. And you can't with your nose plugged. You can actually tickle yourself by rubbing your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And your forearm is about the same size as your foot. And if you say, your breath comes out warm. But when you say, your breath comes out cold. In celebrities' houses, before and after their fame. Eminem, or Marshall Mathers, was born and raised in Missouri. This is the house his family settled in when he was 11 years old. And then after his rise to fame, this is now his house. And this is the house where Jennifer Lopez grew up. Her parents were born in Puerto Rico and moved to the USA, and this is the house in New York that they bought. And then after her rise to fame, this is now one of her mansions. This is where Kanye West grew up in Chicago. But then at the age of 10, he moved to China to live with his mother. Then after his rise to fame, this is one of his incredible mansions. And Justin Bieber grew up in this house on low-income housing in Stratford, Ontario, the United States. And after his mega successful career, this is one of his craziest mansions.
Seen it glow up on each and every single one of them, man. They said, I'm through with the house. We in the mansions now. It's insane. Especially the Justin Bieber one. I can't even imagine.
Top 3 terrifying animals that existed and you didn't know about. Number 3, the Titanoboa. This prehistoric snake, living approximately 60 million years ago, ranks among the most terrifying creatures known. Reaching lengths of 39 to 49 feet and weighing up to 2,500 pounds, it dominated ecosystems, particularly in South America. Number 2, the Pulmonoscorpius, an ancient scorpion from the Carboniferous period, about 330 million years ago. Measuring up to 2.3 feet long, it surpassed the size of any present-day scorpion.
Its formidable appearance likely made it a fearsome predator in its time. Number 1. The Gigantopithecus. As the largest primate to have ever lived, this colossal hominid existed around 100,000 years ago. Standing up to 9.8 feet tall and weighing up to 1,322 pounds, it was an imposing figure, although likely a peaceful herbivore. Factors like climate change and competition with humans contributed to its eventual extinction.
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. This is former NBA player Mark Jackson's basketball card. In the background are the Menendez brothers. They're sitting courtside shortly after killing their parents and just before getting arrested. The 17-year-old who took this photo told his family members that he planned to hike the stairway to heaven. He texted multiple pictures before his disappearance, and shortly after, the family noticed a man in this photo. While this photo may seem like an ordinary picture of footprints in the sand, they actually belong to a 4-year-old little girl who shortly after this photo was taken, drowned in the ocean. The two brothers in this photo are at Sequoia National Park. This photo was taken moments before they were both struck by lightning, and both shockingly survived. There was a tradition in Victorian England to take photos of dead people, often dressed in their best clothes, and pose as if they were taking a family portrait. If you look at this photo for long enough, you will notice something is a little off about one of the children. The man who took this photo of his wife scuba diving off the Australian coast also managed to take a photo of Tina Watson, who was drowned by her husband that day in 2003.
These are the scariest
Terrifying backstories, man.
of war. Ghost Tape 10 was an audio tape played by the US Army during the Vietnam War. They would play it from helicopters and boats. Its aim was to scare the enemy Viet Cong who were hiding in the jungle.
Playing mind games on them.
The A-10 Thunderbolt II is one of the most feared planes owned by the US military. It is better known as the Warthog because of the scary sound it makes.
Is it like breaking that sound barrier?
The Warthog can actually open the sound barrier. The atomic bomb is one of the most powerful bombs ever made.
We know that from history. There's no explanation needed there. Could you imagine, man, you in the force, you hearing those sounds? Like I said, they're just playing freaking, I guess, psychological or mind games on I guess, enemy soldiers. You'd be paranoid, man, especially in the jungle too. Oof. What's he got?
Hot take, you're not gonna apologize for it. 1v1, a Wolverine would whoop a honey badger. That Streets made this aggressive bull cut in the face of Black Air Force energy. Full time the Wolverine's the CEO of Cell Block D tendencies. First of all, they're more than capable of hunting for themselves, but some dudes can't be bothered to get their own bread. Instead, they gotta steal from the baker. And by baker, I mean they'll tax animals like wolves, cougars, even bears. Let me remind you here about the size of a medium dog, yet the crackhead purge can have an overgrown canyon cat backpedaling. And you thought honey badgers were on timing. And they are, but Wolverines, where else are you gonna find a war weasel 2v1ing a pair of wolves? But
2v1, bro.
They can hunt, and they are very good at it. They've been known to murk moose by either going after one that's already injured or one stuck in the snow, since felony ferret's like a psychopath with snowshoes. And they'll track you down and run your fade like John Wick. This reindeer was injured and likely bleeding, so the travel-sized bear followed it and delivered smoke directly to the face like a cigarette. They've also been known to eat porcupines, or at least die trying. And you can even find a story of a wolverine packing up a polar bear. Yeah, it was at a zoo, but that's still a fat W. Wolverines have this really bad habit of whenever they find something that doesn't belong to them, they'll immediately soak it with the smell of death, strong enough to make you cry fresh from its brown eye. A smell so offensive they've been nicknamed Skunk Bear. There have been stories of them breaking into cabins, blowing up the place like a truck stop bathroom, and walking out with like a sock or something. Almost forgot, this walking garbage disposal has rotated molars in the back of its mouth, meaning they can chew through solid bone and frozen meat. I'm sorry, but a motivated skunk monkey is absolutely folding an Oreo-coated temper tantrum, but that's just me.
Perplexing plot twists, part 1. In 2008, an Australian couple named Julian and Carolyn were kidnapped by a satanic cult. Members of the cult threw them in a van and drove them deep into the forest where they were stripped, blindfolded, tied up, and abandoned. Convinced that they would die, Julian suggested that the couple get married under the eyes of God and consummate their relationship. After a week of wandering through the woods, the couple finally made it back to their hometown. Julian was immediately arrested, found guilty of staging the entire thing.
What? He staged that entire thing for this girl. Not in the woods for a week, man. For him to be the mastermind? That's insane, bro.
Worst rated foods in the world. Jellied eels is a food from England, which consists of boiled eels, with salt, pepper, and vinegar added to them. Rating 2.2. Chapelele is a food from Chile. It's a bread made from potatoes and flour. It doesn't sound bad, but many don't like the texture or taste. Rating 2.1. Yerushalmi kugel is a food from Israel. It might look like a cake, but it's actually a casserole, made from noodles, eggs, and peppers. Some like it, while others despise it. Rating 2. Ramen burger is an American food. It's basically a hamburger, but with ramen noodles instead of buns, leading to a very soggy texture and kind of a weird taste. Rating 1.9. Halkart is a food from Iceland. It's made from shark flesh, which is then fermented for up to 3 months, and then left to dry for 5 more months. This creates a very strong taste which makes many people gag. It's normally served in really small quantities because it's so strong. Rating 1.5. Kalvsylta is a food from Sweden. It's a mix of jellied veal, onions, and spices, and is eaten cold. Rating 1.4. Blodpult is a food from Finland. It's basically a dumpling made from flour and reindeer blood. Rudolph better stay away from Finland. Some say blodpult has a similar taste to a ball of bacon, while others say the taste is absolutely awful. Rating 1. Tell me in the comments what your least favorite food is.
What if the purge was...
I ain't gonna lie, I think it would have to be the blood bowl. You see different foods, different cultures. They either got 1 or 2. I thought the ramen burger was kind of gonna be up there, but that one failed too. I didn't even know there was such a thing as that. I'm gonna have to try that. Find out for myself. Seekers, what are you guys' least favorite food?
Real. A new political party is voted into office in the U.S. The new party amends the Constitution to allow 1 day every year where all crime is legal. Most Americans bunker down in their homes, but a group of murdering psychopaths patrol the streets, and this actually prevents riots, but the majority of the murders actually happen between angry family members. Financial crimes are rampant, and the stock market crashes every single year the day before the purge.
These are the safest countries to go if World War III was to start. And considering the news at the moment, you might want to sit down, shut up, and listen! So favorite this video, just in case you ever need it. I hope we never do. Now, there are countries all around the world, but let's start with Argentina. Now, if this was to all break out, it's likely that the world would look similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day at the end. It's likely that all the smoke from all of these will block out the sun, this resulting very quickly in famine and crop failure. But don't panic, because we have Argentina. In Argentina, there are an abundance of resistant crops, such as wheat. This is one of the places on Earth that actually has a chance of surviving World War III. Next up, we have one of the big ones, Switzerland. Now, aside from the fact that it is incredibly neutral when it comes to politics, it has a landlocked geography and mountainous terrain, as well as being one of the countries with an insane amount of underground bunkers. Actually, there's 26,000 of them, which are actually all very hidden, which will mean you will be very safe. As well, just in case there is an invasion, Switzerland literally has booby traps everywhere. It's actually kind of insane and awesome. Next up, we have one of the big ones, Antarctica. Now, barely anyone thinks about going there, which is why it's pretty safe. However, as you can tell, it's a bit fucking cold. So bring a coat.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Greenland. Now, it was in this movie, now they all survived. But on top of that, it's remote, mountainous, and politically neutral, making it kind of an ideal refuge point. And on top of that, worst case scenario, you're not too far away from the global seed vaults, which, you know, has a lot of seeds in it for planting, and thus food and survival. There are literally so many more countries on this list. So if you'd like me to go through more countries in a part 2, let me know. And hopefully we'll never need this video. But just in case we do send this to a friend, it could save their life one day. Elon!
Yeah, like I said, hopefully we won't need that. I'm definitely gonna if we can write some of those countries down though. I can't believe you said Switzerland, bro. Have all those bunkers. You would think the US would have some bunkers like that too.
Trying to take over the world in today's time would go absolutely horrible. Now, trying to take over the world 1,000 years ago probably wasn't very hard. You know, you put me in a world 1,000 years ago, I could easily take over the world. Now, obviously, they weren't thinking about that. They were thinking about when they're going to get their next meal and when they're not going to die of frostbite by the age of 19.
Yep.
This taking over the world concept that we see in movies and TV shows, animes, cartoons, whatever you want to say, in fiction, just to say fiction, it isn't realistic at all. I mean, No shit. Yeah, did you know that like it's not possible to take over the world? Woo! Will plays us are really making us feel enlightened over here. But trying to take over the world nowadays would go horrible, like I said. One, because guns exist. Two, because we're already unified. And three, because guns exist. I guess if you wanted to take over the world, I guess you could probably try to convince a bunch of hillbillies and drug addicts that you're the Messiah. I would start there.
I don't think that would end well.
This clown animatronic changed the landscape of the Halloween industry when it released. This is the creepy towering clown from Spirit Halloween 2017, and his history is kind of interesting. First, because I know you guys love it so much, let's start with his official backstory. Grimsley the Great was a troubled man, an infamously tall clown who was part of a traveling carny family. Every night before a performance, Grimsley would stand before his dressing room mirror and manically paint on his deceivingly joyous features. But it took hundreds of attempts before he was satisfied. He'd wipe his face clean and start over in a fit of rage, often gnashing his pale white face with his dagger-like fingernails. Some say you could hear his blood-curdling screams for miles away from his dressing room, and his sinister soul was hiding a dark secret, a plan to collect and transform innocent bystanders into human oddities for show business. That was just a quick retelling of his official story, and it's one of the better ones, I'd say. Grimsley is made by a company called Seasonal Visions International, and he was the first bent-legged towering prop that they'd ever released. This looming, bent-legged pose eventually found its way onto several other characters. It was really popular at the time. They don't make them that much anymore, but some would say that's for the better, as these animatronics dominated SVI in the late 2010s. Before he came to Spirit, Grimsley became available in the UK in early 2017 on a website called Mad About Horror, which I still don't fully understand considering that he was meant to be a Spirit exclusive, but regardless, this was one of the few Spirit exclusives that was available in the UK for a brief period of time. But most notably, this animatronic is what started what I'm gonna call the clowndemic. Grimsley's release coincided with a cultural phenomenon at the time that helped propel him into one of Spirit Halloween's most successful props. And that was It 2017. I don't know if I can really illustrate just how fucking popular this movie was when it released, but if you were there on the internet in 2017, you would know. Before 2017, clown animatronics weren't even that popular. They weren't even that frequent, which is insane to think about, because after 2017, clowns were everywhere. Nearly every clown animatronic after Grimsley became insanely popular. Many of them actually ended up overshadowing Grimsley completely, like Pugs the Clown, Crouchy, 2020 Charlie, and some others. Grimsley doesn't even get talked about that much anymore. Something else that's interesting, this was one of the first SVI animatronics that suffered from very severe facial deformities. Not quite to the extent of Heckles from last year, but it was bad. In 2018, though, they fixed this, and to this day, the 2018 model is the best version of this prop, and that's also the version that I have. Also, he has his own costume, so take that as you will. Shockingly enough, this prop retailed for only $200 in 2017. I know some will say that that's still a lot, but this thing is 7 feet tall. He's huge. If he released today, I'd bet money that he would be $300 to $350, no doubt about it. Even back in the day, $200 was crazy reasonable, considering some of the other animatronics that were priced the same. In my opinion, he was absolutely worth the money, and I think he deserves to be talked about a little more.
Tall ass clown. I don't do clowns though. Imagine seeing that walking by. Little kid gonna be scared as hell. That's different costumes, or just that costume that comes with it. I'm about to say, was he said that clown was responsible for, you know, the clown phenomenon? That was all over YouTube, all over the internet. I remember those days. People were pranking people.
Facts about food. The largest meal ever consumed was when a woman ate 19 pounds of food in about 4 hours. She did end up passing away after this. A Serbian vodka comes with 13 health warnings, including one in Braille, due to its 88% alcohol content. In 2022, 2 Californians filed a class action lawsuit against Barilla Pasta because they thought it was made in Italy. Cranberries will bounce. If you want to test how ripe your cranberries are, drop them on the ground. Cranberries are nature's bouncy ball. Even farmers use this technique to see if their cranberries are ready for shipment. Mountain Dew contains orange juice. Although it tastes like a lemon lime soda, orange juice is third on the list of ingredients, just behind carbonated water and high fructose corn syrup. Humans' DNA is 60% the same as bananas. Our genes are comprised of 3 billion building blocks, which are surprisingly ununique. From this, 60% of our genes are identical to that of the banana. However, the other 40% is different enough to make us who we are. There's a small difference between jelly and jam. Jam is made with fruit, which is why it's so much more chunky. Jelly is made with fruit juice. This is an easy way to tell the difference between jelly and jam. Jelly will spread evenly, while jam will tend to be a little lumpy. A ridiculous amount of Nutella is sold every year, so much so that it could cover the Great Wall of China 8 times. You could circle the world almost 2 whole times, and the amount weighs the same as the entire Empire State Building. Sound can influence the taste of your food. High frequency sounds are to enhance the sweetness in food, while low frequencies bring out the bitterness. Pound cake got its name from its recipe. The early recipes of pound cake called for 1 pound of butter, 1 pound of eggs, and 1 pound of sugar. Most supermarket wasabi is actually horseradish. Real wasabi is challenging to make and expensive. As an alternative, most wasabi for sale is colored horseradish with flavoring. Farmed salmon is dyed pink. Wild salmon is naturally pink because of all of the shrimp they eat. Farm-raised salmon have a different diet and end
eating fake salmon out
However,
here?
they are fed specific plant pigments to get the same hue as wild salmon. Crackers are worse for your teeth than sugar. Acid is the biggest cause of tooth decay, and crackers tend to stick to your teeth, which ends up being a breeding ground for bacteria. You can find peanuts in dynamite. Peanuts have an oil that is used as an ingredient while making glycerol, which is a main component of nitroglycerin. French fries originated in Belgium, not France. They are only called French fries because they are French cut. Twinkie cream is not cream at all. It is actually vegetable shortening. Strawberries are not berries. Technically, berries only have seeds on the inside, a rule which is obviously broken by strawberries. Margarita pizza is named after a queen. When King Umberto I and Queen Margarita visited Naples, they wanted a change from their fancy food and asked for pizza, which was food for the poor back then. The queen loved the mozzarella pizza so much that it ended up being named after her. Thomas Jefferson actually made pasta popular in the United States. He is responsible for bringing the first macaroni machine over to the United States after spending time in France. He was also the one who introduced mac and cheese to Americans. Cauliflower comes in multiple colors. Although we typically only see the white cauliflower, it actually has purple, orange, green varieties. Orange and purple cauliflowers have higher antioxidants. Lima beans are deadly. Raw lima beans have lethal amounts of cyanide in them, but if you cook them thoroughly, you'll be just fine. Sweet drinks can cause dementia. It's not quite as drastic as it originally sounds. However, studies have shown that people who drink 1 or more artificially sweetened drinks per day were almost 3 times more likely to develop dementia. Coffee is the main source of antioxidants for Americans. Antioxidants help fight aging and heart disease, but coffee doesn't really have that many of them. We just drink a lot of it, so we kind of get enough. An expensive delicacy of China is bird's nest soup, which is made from rare bird's nests created from the saliva of small swiftlets. They've been used in China for over 4 centuries. Food is allowed to contain some amount of insects. By FDA standards, there is an allowance for the level of traces of bugs that could be in your food. Chocolate can have no more than 60 insect fragments per 100 grams. Peanut butter can't have more than 30 insects per 100 grams. So theoretically, insects can be in them as long as it's under that. Tonic water.
That's insane.
Quinine is the component of tonic water, which is what causes the glow. Sheep brains are a delicacy in Turkey, China, and India. Brains are a natural
filling for ravioli, cheese, scrambled eggs, and other textured dishes. Rocky Mountain oysters are deep-fried bull testicles, a favorite among cowboys, often served at rodeo events across the United States.
I thought that door I moved, yep, it did.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that's where I'll become to. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you.
Damn, what the heck? Those pictures you never would guess.
Okay, we just found this out here in the middle of the lake.
What the fuck is it?
So foggy.
Alright, I'll touch it.
Okay, touch it.
Oh, did you see it?
Slimy?
Yeah!
Is it a stick or something?
So, what the fuck is it?
Touch it. Gross. Gross. It's like a disease. You don't just see shit like this, bro. Let's get closer. No. That's what's weird about it. It is aliens.
What the heck was that, man? That definitely looked like something otherworldly. It did kind of look like Ness or something, bro. I don't know what that was, man. Predictions down below. What's going on in that part?
Here's a question I get asked a lot. What is with the teeth? Like, why? Why the teeth on every single thing? And the answer is, yeah, there's not really a reason. I just have kind of a tooth thing. I put teeth in my very edgy art a lot when I was a teenager, and it just kind of never stopped. About 20 years ago, I started collecting dental antiques, and it just snowballed. Let me share some of my collection with you. This is the first one I got. It's honestly still a favorite because I love these graphic shapes. Here's some more, and another, and another. Yeah, there's more. Oh look, here's more. And my husband had some related items in his collection too, so we have stuff like this, and lots of these, and this. Oh, what's this? More teeth. And more, and more. What could be in here? It's teeth. That's the answer. So yeah, it's a lot. These aren't the teeth that I use in my work, actually. I make those teeth, which, now that I think about it, I can make a video. If you guys want to see how those are made, let me know.
A tooth?
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that's where I'll...
That was not no imaginary friend.
Some of you have asked if I'll show you my favorite plants that I'm growing in my garden. Let's start with my all-time favorite, foxglove. Eating this plant will stop your heart. Although she's not flowering yet, she's still one of my favorites. Here we have isotoma, which I avoid touching because she can cause blistering and contact dermatitis. What's really cool about this one is it can cause temporary blindness if rubbed in the eyes for up to 3 months. Another one of my favorites, flowering tobacco, also known as nicotiana, can cause heart palpitations and literally a nicotine overdose. Here's my delphinium. I love her. She's one of my favorites. She can cause severe paralysis and also stop your heart. Not to mention she also has high levels of alkaloids and can cause kidney failure. Although she's not blooming yet, this is another one of my favorites, my peony. She will cause severe gastroenteritis and vomiting. Do you grow any of these?
What is she growing, bro? She's like poison ivy, man. What the But that's so addicting, bro. Poison ivy, man. I don't know what she's going in there, garden, bro. You go in there, game over.
The next time that you're at Disneyland and you want to ride the Haunted Mansion, you should definitely ask for the bypass if you've never tried it yet. It's a hallway that's normally used for cast members only, but during COVID they opened it up to the public. Normally there's no theming in here, but they actually added theming because of the fact that guests were going to be using this. If you don't want the magic of Haunted Mansion spoiled, you shouldn't listen to this next part, but yeah, this hallway ramps slowly down because of the fact that the stretching rooms are actually elevators, because it needs to take you from the graveyard into the hallway with the paintings.
Interesting. Hidden room unlocked.
I can see you from behind. You can hear me in your mind. Run so fast as you can go. Time will catch you before you know.
Can you explain this creepy video?
What the They just spawning everywhere. What the Yo, why can't? They were just spawning everywhere like clones.
Step.
So where was you at? You ain't at the hospital.
Step 1, go to the subway. Step 2, waiting. Step 3, the train has arrived. Your bag. Wait, no one driving. Step 7, call the police.
911, what's your emergency?
Wait, there is something behind you.
What is it? That's a weird fact. Who wants to add to this list? What's up, YouTube? That's it for this video for you guys today, YouTube. If you guys learned anything new, comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button, man. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.